Hey guys, this is Lawrence of the Ketones and Coffee podcast. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of this great content.
Hey guys, this is Lawrence. Welcome back to the Ketones and Coffee podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know everyone here that's listening are here because you want to create a sustainable, healthy lifestyle through the ketogenic diet. And every single week I try to bring in guests that not only has the knowledge, but these individuals has also been through the same trials that we all have been through when it comes down to our search for a better health. We get together in hopes to assist you on your own journey. I'm so excited for this, guys. Our guest today is a certified carnivore and keto coach and bioenergetic practitioner student with her mission to help people heal their mind, body, and soul. Love it. She is also have a Facebook group, the Carnivore Chicks, where women can have a safe place to learn to grow using the carnivore diet. Her Instagram has amassed a following of more than 11,000 followers, where she shares her own experience and knowledge to help other people who may be struggling on keto and carnivore. She herself has also lost 150 pounds and kept it off. The greatest thing about her as a coach is, like most of us, she has went through a lot of struggles herself to get to this place, which is the place of healing. And that is what makes her a very effective coach. When we have somebody who turned that pain into a definite purpose in life, it's a good day for us, guys. I'm so excited for this. I'm here with Tiffany Davis. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Man, that was quite the intro. You make me sound very interesting. And I'm actually not a student anymore. I actually did graduate my bioenergetic course. So I'm officially a practitioner now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I messed that last part out.
Oh, you did great.
We'll do. So I'm so grateful to have you on. Every time we can speak to somebody that has, turned their lives around, especially at the stage you were on, and when you did it, makes it even more special and very valuable to our listeners as well. I want to point out too that I've had a lot of guests on the show who changed their lifestyle at any point of our lives. It's not easy. It has been proven to be very difficult to change our lifestyle, and we understand that now. And we also understand that people, when we get stuck in a place where we become lost, we often don't hear anything, and to create change, it has to come from us, and we ourselves has to want the change to create it. So I can only speak from the stories that was shared on the show, real experience for real people who has come on the show. So I'm so happy to have you on here today, where we were empowering people to make a change in their lives, and Tiffany has definitely proven that. And so, having said that, I'd like to talk about your story a little bit, leading up to your complete transformation. I always start with, prior relationship with food, your background, and I understand that if you have dabbled with other types of diets, you can also talk about that as well. But the goals and results that through that whole process, which was a journey in itself. So, you decided to switch to keto in 2017, I believe, after the surgery. So everything that led to that switch, at the core, what was your relationship with food before?
Oh, I was a full-blown food addict. Absolutely, unequivocally addicted to food. I come from a background where addiction is very rampant in both sides of my family, both my father and my mother's side. Drugs and alcohol were just part of my life growing up on both sides of that family, and very much so with my parents. So I made a very conscious decision. I don't want to drink or do drugs because that's going to make me an addict, and I'm going to go down this slippery slope. Turns out you can be addicted to a lot of other things. And for me, that became food. I kept it under control a lot as a teenager. And I was active, not sports active, but an active person. And I didn't really start to gain weight until I was in my 20s. By the time I was 25, I was 200 pounds. I got pregnant with my first child and gained 50, 60 pounds, and just continued to gain weight over the next 2 decades significantly until I got to about 319 pounds. I was in my 40s. My wake up moment was being in a Kohl's shopping center or a store in the dressing room, and I was 319 pounds. I was hot. I was tired. My girls, I sent them out to get their stuff that they wanted to try on, and I just sat in the dressing room because I was too fatigued and sweaty, and I just couldn't do the walking around anymore. And I had a moment, was looking on my phone, and I looked up and I saw myself in the mirror, and I get choked up every time I talk about it because it was like, ugh. And I think I saw myself for the first time, and I took a picture. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see I'm kind of in this like peachy orange shirt, and my stomach's humongous. And I mean, I look older than I was, and I certainly felt older. Sadly, it took me a couple more years to figure out what to do. I mean, I became aware, but I just, I dabbled in every diet known to mankind. And I finally decided that I needed more than what I was doing. And that's what led me to do the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which is a bariatric surgery. And I did that in 2017. But in the months leading up to that, I had decided I was going to do the keto diet after it. I knew that I couldn't go back to eating smaller amounts of what I was eating as an addict. I knew that wasn't going to help me at all. So I knew that VSG was going to be a tool, and it doesn't last forever. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that have bariatric surgery think it's kind of a one and done thing. It's like a Harry Potter magic wand. It isn't. You still have to decide what you're putting in your mouth and what you do with your body from that point on. So I used that time where I did have a lot of restriction to completely change the way that I ate. I started walking. I started about 6 months in, I started going to the gym, and I have not looked back. And in 2019, I decided I'm going to try the carnivore diet. I'm like, I could do that for a month. Anybody can do that for a month. Turns out I was really doing carnivore more than I understood that I was doing, because I thought it was keto, but I always prioritized my protein. And really, when I was only eating protein, I felt optimal, both in body and mind. So, I spent a lot of years, like, I couldn't concentrate on anything for very long. And that's really hard to do when you're a homeschool mom. So that has been a huge part of my revelation in health, was that the mind matters too.
I love that, just because I myself, when I switched to keto and I dabbled into carnivore a lot, I would go into carnivore for a week and then get off it. What I realized is the focus that I gain, and because I, like you said, I like, as an example, when I read a book, I can't get past chapter 1. When I was growing up, I've just had difficulty focusing on one thing, and I resonate a lot with that, with what you're saying. But the moment that I really want to talk about is the moment of revelation for you that you talked about so eloquently. And I love this moment because at this point you can still choose to continue the life that you're on. And at the stage that you're in too, at that age, but you didn't. What was different at that time? Did you think that it was where you are now was possible at that time? Like, if you look back,
I think I think I was about 43, 44 when that mirror moment happened, and it was 45 when it really got on this journey, because I'm 50 now, and I lacked a lot of maturity in my 20s and 30s. You think you're so mature, but to really understand what my issue was. I think you can do this at any age. And I think there are some amazing 20-year-olds that are out there right now that are showing us, hey, you can change your life right now. They have immense capabilities. I just didn't believe myself in that way. So whether you want to call it maturity or confidence or whatever, it took the confidence of being in my mid-40s and also fear, a good dose of fear, like saying, hey, if it doesn't happen now, you're not going to see your 60s. And really, I think self-revelation or realization is a whole different ballgame when you're at midlife, because you're realizing I'm not invincible. I am going to age. I am going to have issues, and they're going to be a lot bigger if I don't do something about it. And that the foundation is food and fitness. That's not where it ends, but it certainly needs to start there. And I do think a lot of women, men probably as well, I think you hit your 40s or your 50s and you think, well, that's it. I lost my chance. And I wholeheartedly disagree. I've seen women in their 70s start weightlifting and have amazing body transformation. So, but you got to deal with your mind. You got to tell your mind you can do it.
Yeah. That's why I love that you're here today sharing your story, because a lot of people make an excuse of, you know, like you said, I'm crossing my 40s, I'm crossing my 50s, and at this point it is very hard for people to change their lifestyle, and you've proven that that's not the case. You can always change your lifestyle at any age, and you talked about people that are crossing their 70s that are working out, exercising, and living their life to the fullest. And so having you on today really is valuable for our listeners, because hey, I've done this, you can do this too. I love that. And who is this? I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you said your surgeon was for keto, and that surgeon deserves some recognition, and let's shout them out.
I'm going to forget his name right now, but it's Obesity Control Center in Tijuana, Mexico. I did a lot of research, and I was so amazingly impressed with that medical center, and just the way that not only that it's like going to a spa. They do a small amount of surgeries. That's all they do there. So yeah, I got a lot of feedback. People were very fearful for me going to Mexico. I understand that. But do your research. This is I cannot believe his name is just totally gone out of my head, but Obesity Control Center in Tijuana. I would recommend them wholeheartedly if that's something that you feel like you need to do. I do believe that, we can do quite a bit. If we're ready. It was a tool that I needed, but it's not a tool everyone needs. But I don't regret it, not even for a second. So yeah.
I want to help people who are maybe curious on going through that as well. What are some of the things that they have to look out for or prepare for if they're thinking of going through VSG?
Wow. You're going to have to your mind is going to be the thing. You think that it's going to be your body that goes through the biggest transformation, but it is your brain. The way you look at portions on your plate, of course, they're very, very small in the beginning. You go through a liquid stage, then very soft foods, and then you introduce more foods. There are some people that do have problems with eating meat after. I've never had that, of course. I'm carnivore. But just the sheer portion difference is just, it's crazy. And then as quickly as your body will change, and I think this is going to happen with keto carnivore or bariatric surgery, you start to see yourself, or you may stumble to see yourself as a thinner, healthier person. I was still trying to pick out clothes for a body that no longer existed. So I looked like I was wearing, like huge clothes for someone, because I was. It took me forever to believe that this was going to stay. I kept my bigger clothes for a long time, like probably a year, before I was like, okay, I can get rid of these. I'm never going to go back to being that woman. And so you do really need to understand that it is a mind-body experience, and not just body.
You also talked about a lot of people also regain or gain more than where they were before after the surgery. And did you know that coming into the surgery or after?
That was all part of my research. Usually within 3 to 5 years, I think it's 80. I think the statistic is about 80% have had some, all, or extra regain. The problem is a lot of people go into this thinking they do not need to change what they are eating. They're just going to eat smaller amounts. Well, we know that nutrients matter. It's not calorie for calorie. And a lot of people just don't do the research in that sense. Even though my surgeon gave a lot of, we worked with a nutritionist. We were told to prioritize protein. We were given a very good, very ketogenic type of program afterwards. But a lot of people are rule breakers. They just don't, I spent my own money to do this. This was not something that was paid for insurance, and I was not about to do it a second time, which happens as well. So I think the problem is we don't look at changing our food when we have the opportunity to have that restriction. That's when you really need to start thinking differently about what you're eating and not just the amount that you're eating. Because I eat very reasonable portions now. So for me, they seem large because for, a couple of years you have very small portions, but they're so ridiculously smaller than what I used to eat. So again, it's all perception. But I think with regain, the biggest problem is that they don't change their life. They're not looking to change their lifestyle. They are looking for a magic potion or, something like that that's going to fix everything. It doesn't fix anything if you don't work on it. It gives you time to fix it, where you're not feeling. I mean, my surgeon told me I had one of the largest stomachs he had ever seen. It was very easy to understand why I was constantly hungry and constantly looking, eating 10, 12 times a day, small portions even sometimes, but never stopped eating. And I had to completely start at ground zero and look, okay, what am I going to eat? How often am I going to eat? What purpose is the eating going to serve me? Is this going to be my health? Is this going to serve my goals today, tomorrow, and the next day? And unfortunately, I don't think there's enough of the people having bariatric surgery that are taking that kind of stuff seriously. And I can't really blame the surgeons because I do, for the most part, think that they do give you the information. It's what you do with it, right?
Yeah. 80% is such a significant amount. Even if it's close to that, it's still significant. It feels like I'm just, listening to what you're saying, and what I pick up on it is no matter what happens, you're going to do this. You've decided that you're changing your lifestyle, because from living the lifestyle that you've been living for most of your life to eating keto after the surgery is so drastically different. And from there going into carnivore is so different from what you've become accustomed to. That tells me, from having food addiction into going into carnivore, nothing's gonna stop you from doing this for yourself. You've realized something, and you said, and you used the word revelation. I think it's very fitting that that's what happened to you, because you're somebody that's really dedicated and decided that you're doing this. Because if I'm looking at the numbers and you're saying 80% of people have ended up regaining weight, it means that it's the fact is it's just a tool.
Yeah.
If you look at the numbers, 80%, we can do this for you, but if you don't change, you'll end up, if you don't change your lifestyle, you'll still end up back to where you were.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what I'm. Yeah.
And when you talk about making a decision, yeah, and then it's having enough self revelation or understanding of yourself to say, look, I don't know how to moderate my food. I don't know how to eat just a little bit of this or that. I have to be an abstainer. For me, abstinence is best. Now, that may not be everybody's necessity. Some people are going to learn how to be moderators, but for the most part, you're either a moderator or you're not. My daughter is keto carnivore. She's very good at moderating. She can have some Lily's chocolate and go back to having her steaks the next day, no problem. I've tried that. It does not work for me. If I have a little bit of chocolate, even if it's keto, that's all I want. So I have to make it very, like, stop. This is not what you need. This is not going to be what helps you continue to maintain the lifestyle that you want. Do I like chocolate? Absolutely, I do. But it just isn't going to be. And there are some things I've never dabbled back into, like popcorn. I used to go to the movies to eat popcorn. I haven't put a kernel of popcorn in my mouth in 5 years. So I think getting to know yourself and understanding whether you can moderate or abstain, that's going to be a huge tool. And it doesn't mean you have to be carnivore to be an abstainer. You can say, I'm going to be a keto, but I'm not having the keto product. I'm going to eat real food, and I'm going to abstain from anything in a wrapper. It's different for each person, and getting to know yourself in this process is so key.
Yeah, you really have to get to know yourself. You really have to be in sync, in tune with your body. You got to know what certain food does to your body, and sometimes you can feel it too, right? When you're feel lethargic, even though it's keto, and you crave it more, I guess. And what I want to ask you too is, I'm curious on how you're gonna answer this. How do you stop yourself? Is it just mentally you have to, because it's around you, right?
All the time.
You talked about your daughter jumping back and forth into keto and carnivore. You still see it a lot. It's still around you. It's still there. But how do you stop yourself? It's just, I know you talked about being aware, but you really have to really have that mental strength not to, and have to, again, you know yourself too, that if you do start, you go into this rabbit hole, and it's going to be hard to stop yourself. How did you get to that point? Is that something that you had developed, or is that something that you had to learn for yourself as you go through this journey?
I think going into this, I was like, this is it. It's this or nothing. If this doesn't work, then nothing's going to work at this point. That's how it started. And then I think as I started to feel better and more confident and like enjoying exercise for the first time in my entire life, when I see something that I used to eat or used to enjoy, I don't want to say it doesn't even cross my mind to eat it anymore. I'm sure it does, but it is so much now for me, like, no way. I don't want to be the woman I once was. I really believe in positive affirmations, so for the longest time, when I would see something that I wanted, I'd be like, you're not that woman anymore. That's not who you are anymore. And it's like, it would come to me so fast because I had said it so many times that it instantly got me out of that spiral. Because, food addiction and cravings, as long as we feed them, they're like a stray cat. They are never going away. You keep feeding it, they're staying. So I had to keep telling myself, one bite. You are one bite away from completely losing this. Is it worth it? And I have yet to find a food that I am willing to lose 5 years of hard work for. But that does take time. And for me, I had a great community. I got on Instagram right in the beginning of this. And so I was able to watch stories and, be a part of a community where people were doing the same thing that I was doing. That really helped a lot, which is why, I started doing group coaching, because I think community is so essential. That is why things like AA work. That is why Weight Watchers is still around. While I don't believe that diet is necessarily the best for most people, the community, the positive peer pressure is very helpful. And that's part of what keeps me going.
I love it. I love it. You know what? The number one culprit too, when people talk about falling off, is when they come across, or the days that are their most vulnerable. Which, as an example, if you're emotional and you're obviously more susceptible to things that you would normally stop yourself from. Like if you're feeling a little down, if you're feeling a little frustrated, if your day's not going the way you want it to, you're more, and you're emotional. Sometimes those times we forget. We forget about how far we've come, right? We forget about the results we forget about the positive results that you have already accomplished. And those times are the critical moments that you really have to dig in deeper into your self and ask yourself that, if I go through this again, and it comes with experience too, I believe, when you've experienced going into a dark time, and you can point out to the one particular day that you've become vulnerable, and you've you've let it eat you up. You can point to that one time that you've became vulnerable. And so I think it's as simple as, I'm not saying it's easy. I think it's as simple as, stopping yourself at the moment, and like what you did for yourself when you have that when you were in front of that mirror. I think you have two choices at that point. Either you go another direction, or you continue moving to direction that you've been on, or a journey that you've been on, and you've chosen to to take control of your own health. And if not for those moments, you wouldn't be here today. So I believe that it is as simple as choosing something, but it does take a lot from you when you're vulnerable. So I guess my question is, how do you stop yourself or step back when you're feeling the most vulnerable, when you're feeling the most emotional eating is a big part of this. I'm not sure what your coaching entails, because I believe a lot of us go through this emotional eating and all of that. If I'm a client, I'm going through that, and you talk about the support of the community is really great, and having that accountability from other people who has the same mission, who has the same health journey as you, helps a lot. And is there other things that they can do if they're feeling upset, vulnerable, not choosing the wrong things, and not getting into, because it takes a one bad habit to come back.
Yep.
For all of it to come back, right? So what should they do? What are the tools that you've used for teach your clients? Yeah.
So
yeah.
the first thing that I
curious.
always tell people is, sometimes you just need 10 minutes of distraction. You just need to get up, get away, and distract yourself for 10 minutes. Sometimes that is all it takes, is just to get out of that pattern of thinking, because it's so easy to get into that, because we've done it for such a long time. So we got to break that pattern. We got to get away. So for me, that's maybe I'm going to go do a puzzle. I'm going to go for a walk. Not when it's 106 degrees outside right now, but in the cooler months, I'll go for a walk or a bike ride. Or I will grab a cup of coffee and I will call a friend. Someone that I know is going to be supportive, because there are friends that are like, girl, it's just a chocolate. Just have it. Just have it.
Yeah.
I don't want to call that friend. I want to call the friend who's going to say, listen, lady, you know what you've done. You know how hard you've worked. Who's going to give me enough tough love and support that I'm going to get myself back on track. Now, if you don't have that person in real life, that's when you reach out to your community, right? So for us, so I have clients that I'll say, look, if you need to text me in a moment, you text me and we'll walk through it. Or you get onto our Facebook group and you say, hey, I need some help. I need someone to talk to me right now. Because those are the people who are going to be, they're not going to give you what your, that disordered eating voice wants to hear and tell you, oh, just have a little bit. No, they're going to give you the love and support that you need to walk through it. That is what it's all about. But 10 minutes can make all the difference in that. And then it's also for being able to forgive yourself if you make a mistake. Don't let perfectionism kill your consistency. Consistency is going to outrule that perfect life every time because nobody's perfect. Well, I don't cheat on that, those no foods in my head. That's very distinct. I do not eat that, but I have, and I'm not proud of it. I've gone and got a scoop of pork rinds when I'm feeling emotional, right? Better choice, but still not great. We need to not be eating out of emotion. That's not, whether it's ribeye pork rinds or, Hershey bar, we want to eat appropriately, and an emotional reason is never the right thing. So but it's a process. Yeah. And, really dealing with food addiction it's lifelong. You're going to work through it in stages, and your aha moment, that's going to be the big break. That's the thing that's going to catalyst you into doing something different. But you're going to have little tiny moments like that. Yeah. And it may be forever. I'm 5 years in and I still have moments where I have to go, wait a minute. And sometimes just being a coach and going, look, you got to get in front of other people and tell them, what would you tell a client right now? Coach thyself. So, and I really do think, for me personally, the biggest thing that I see in our communities, we deal with the body, we deal with the mind, but we leave the soul out. And I think it's essential to deal with your spirit self. I'm a Christian, so I pray, I read the Bible. That is how I feed my soul. I think that's very important. Remember that we are 3 parts of a whole person. And a lot of times that gets ignored, but not just as a religious, take on it, but that might just be getting creative. Do you paint? Do you like to sing? Do you like to get out in nature? What is feeding that part of you that isn't just about diet and exercise? And I think that's key too. Yeah. So finding that stuff that you liked when you were a kid, I think is a good place to start.
I love it. Distract yourself for just 10 minutes. And like I said, we're always one decision away from either healing ourselves or hurting ourselves. Because one bad decision can turn into, a whole thing that, you're digging yourself into a hole that it's hard to get out of once. You got to be, obviously you said it's a practice. It's an everyday thing. You have to always you have to catch yourself in these moments where it's happening. You got to step back and realize that where you are now, it's not going to happen if you didn't decide it for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You yourself, you've turned it around 360 from that moment in front of the mirror until now you're coaching people do the same for themselves. I want to talk to you a little bit about your coaching, and I want to talk to you about success. And success is very subjective, and we have different definition of success when we start a lifestyle. But you said you either know yourself to be an abstainer, or you know yourself to what's the other
moderator
word? Moderator. There we go. But I want to ask you, when you first talk to a client, do you already know that, this client has the potential to turn this thing around? What are the telltale signs that you see from a client in the beginning? If they if they have a very high chance of success.
Okay,
in this
that is
lifestyle?
a great question. So I think everybody has the potential, but I think self-awareness and really being truthful with yourself is the best place. Like the clients that I've worked with that have had the most success, they know themselves, the ugly part, and they're not shying away from that. They're like, yes, I've got a problem with food, or I have, a lot of us have a problem with authority. So we don't want someone to tell us, this is what you need to eat, this is what you not, you don't need to eat this is what you need to do. Pretty quickly, the people that I've worked with, when they're like, yes, okay, I'm asking questions, I'm hearing them say, yes, that's me, that's what I need, that's what I want to work with, that's what I want to do. A lot of people, though, they sign up and then they start to give me pushback. Now, that's okay. Ask me questions. You don't have to just take everything I say like it's gospel. But they're like, well, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it like this. I'm like, well, okay. I respect that. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. But here's what I think might happen if you do that. So the ones with most success are really ready to lay it all out there and really take in the advice that I'm giving. That is, they are self-aware. They know they've tried to do this on their own, and they've either only had a little bit of success, or they've hit a stall, or they just simply can't stick to it. They are ready to have their world rocked, and they want to change. Those are the ones that are going to have the biggest success right off the gate. Now, you can have some pushback, and I want my clients to ask questions, because then I know they're really paying attention, because they're like, okay, well, how does that work for me? And all of us can go into very similar diets and have very different results. We're bio-individual. And so for me, if you're going to go into a coaching situation, whether it's a one-on-one coaching situation, you're going to be part of a group, it's being open to say, I don't know it all. I need some help. I need to lock arms with someone, excuse me, that is that wants me to be successful. And that's the key.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So sometimes people are not asking questions because they're afraid that you might think that it's silly, or their question is silly. But for if you're, I want to encourage people to ask a lot of questions, because that tells your coach that you want this for yourself.
Absolutely.
Plus that you understand the assignment, right? That you understand what's needed from you and from your coach. And it may be and people say there's no stupid questions, but it's true, because I'd rather you asking a lot of questions than not asking at all.
Right. I don't want you to feel like we're in a relationship. If we're in a coaching relationship, you should feel like this is a safe place for me to ask whatever I need to ask. And I don't take questions as like some kind of rebellious thing. I see questions as, look, I'm trying to dial in and really make sure I understand what you're saying, and understand the expectations, so that I know how to move forward. So no, I think if a coach is telling you don't ask questions, just do what I tell you to do, that's not a healthy relationship, and that's not going to be success. And I'm not saying that, if you coming in and asking questions, that's somehow like you're not taking my advice. What I'm saying is the pushback, like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, and I will work with you around that. Like, okay, you don't want to do that. Well, let's look at what our options are. What can we do within the perspective of your life and what works for you? Because it's reality, right? So we'll work around those things. Does that mean some days you're going to be keto and sometimes you're going to be carnivore? Okay, let's see how that works for you. And you can't know that in a week. That's why I'm like, you've really got to be ready to put in the time, see how your body responds to things, let the coach, take that and work with what's happening and continue to work your plan. That's really important. But, I tell all of my clients, I'm not looking to keep you as a client forever. That's not my goal. My goal is to make you self-sufficient. So when you're ready, to say, hey, thank you very much, and I'm good, I'm going to go on my own, that's a good day for me. That means I've done my job. That means I've done my job. I've given you the tools and the confidence to go out and do this on your own. And any coach that I know, that's their goal. If a coach is trying to keep you forever, that's not a healthy relationship either. They're there to keep you on your toes while you need it. Give you your tools, get you on the journey, and walk that with you for as long as you need it. Now, some people that's going to be 3 months. Some people that's going to be a year, but it shouldn't be forever. I think I do have clients that like to just do an occasional check-in too, which is, I think that's great too. Yeah. I keep in contact with clients even if we're not in a coaching relationship at that moment, because I want to make sure they're okay.
So I want to ask you, like you talked about checking in. What does your coaching process look like in the beginning? And then you talked about some clients are needs help, for a year, and some clients needs help for maybe 3 months. So what does that entail? If I'm a client starting my program with you today, what's the first week like?
So the first week, we're going to have a phone call generally. I like to start with a phone call. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I'm going to see what your goals are. We're going to talk about what program we think is best for you. Then I take time to type up an entire program. That's going to be everything from, with someone keto, we're going to go with macros. With someone carnivore, I'm going to kind of give you an outline. I have them watch my 101 video. You're going to get a restaurant guide, a shopping guide. We're going to lay the foundations for that program. There's some supplements that I might recommend depending on the conversation we've had. Things that lifestyle changes that I'd like to see you implement. A lot of that's going to be, what is your lifestyle? Okay, so maybe you're not really mobile. So I want you to try to do a 10-minute chair exercise. So I get a whole written program that gets emailed to them. And then I'm like, here's where we're going to start this week. So we're going to have that week's goals. So then we're going to have our talk in a week from that point. In between, we're messaging each other through email, through text, or through Instagram. Sometimes it's all three. Just depends on what that particular client's preference is. But we keep, in contact during the week. I'm doing check-ins. They're sending me questions. So you get 24-hour access to me through that. And then we do a weekly call. Those calls are about 20 to 30 minutes. So we get a lot accomplished during the week, so that when we're on that phone call, we can really dial in and work through some things. I do a lot of recommendations as far as lifestyle. It's not just diet. So that's how we start. And pretty much every week is going to be a version of that. We're working through mindset. We're working through it. And it also depends on how long they've been doing the diet. I mean, if they're really beginning, they've never really tried carnivore or keto, we've really got to work on some just basics. What do I eat every day? How often do I do that? So, I mean, it's very individualized. Group coaching is a little bit different in that in a group coaching situation, we get to know each other through the Facebook group. I do daily posts. So it's not just like a discussion. There's daily content, daily educational content in the Facebook group. And then every week we have a Zoom. On the Zoom, that's our chance to really get to know one another. I might have a small presentation, but that's the time I want us to be able to talk. That's our face-to-face time. And what I've loved seeing is how the groups help each other, the participants in the group, because some of them have more experience. Some of them have shareable, relatable experience in their lives, and they can share, oh, well, this is how I've been able to overcome that. That is amazing. And both experiences, one-on-one and group, have their their pluses and their minuses for people. You just have to know what you think is going to be best for you.
Yeah, I could see some people going into a group session, and so I could see some people going to a one-on-one session. It's really depends on how you're going to best get into the lifestyle quicker.
Absolutely.
Love this so much. I love what you're doing for these people, and your experience is very, very valuable. Like I said in the beginning, somebody that's really gone through the struggles, the pain and purpose that you have right now that you can share is very, very valuable to people, and that makes you a very effective coach. Where can people find you to get connected?
The best place to find me is Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. It's tiffany.r.d. No, I'm not a registered dietitian. Those are just my initials. That's where I spend most of my time. I always answer DMs. So if you have a question, you want to reach out to me, just DM me. I will get back to you. I'm on stories a lot. Right now I'm on break. I'm a homeschool mom, but we're taking a 6-week break, and I'll be at KetoCon. So I'm looking forward to meeting people. So if you come to KetoCon, I'll be at the ketogenic lifestyle booth. And I'm on the success panel, which is the last thing that you'll see through the whole conference.
I'm jealous because I can't make it this year, but I'm hopefully next year I'll be able to make it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for coming on, sharing your story. Grateful for what you're doing for the community, and what your story has really resonated with me. And best of luck to you to your journey, and enjoy KetoCon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.